Hi, everybody. And for this week's Weekly Scoop, I'm going to update you on some of the more interesting pieces of content we've published across our platforms for you. We're not going to start by mentioning the sport as we agreed in Monday's newsletter. So let's jump straight into the technical conversations that are happening in our industry right now. I think as we progress into the time of compliance with Joint Standard 2 of 2024 and the requirements of both retirement funds and service providers to meet to make sure that our environments are safe from cyber threats, the more we delve into this conversation, the more I'm learning that different funds and different service providers are doing different things. But the one conversation that unites us or that brings us all together is what happens if we do have an attack, and do our cyber insurance policies cover this? And there is an article on the platform that I published from Santam that discusses cyber risks and cyber insurances that are available out there. And it actually links into an older article that I published from Marsh from Terry Solomon, who addressed the specifics when it comes to retirement funds themselves. And so these are interesting pieces of content. And I was interacting and chatting to lots of boards of trustees last week about their cybersecurity. And this was a common question that came up. So hopefully those two articles will position you and be able to give you some assurances as to what cover does exist, but also perhaps highlight some gaps that you do, as you know, need to be addressing in your governance frameworks. Linking into cyber and the kind of data is the new oil conversation. On EBNet Stream this week, I had a conversation with the team from Bowman's around the intersection of PIA, and cybersecurity. And some of those pieces of law deal with the data itself, and the joint standard deals with the hardware and the networks, but they all intersect somewhere. And I think the conversation certainly highlights the points of intersection of those pieces of law, and highlights where possibly your governance policies need to overlap and address the various perspectives that those three pieces of legislation require of yourselves as service providers and of your retirement funds if you're listening to me as either a trustee or a management committee member. A lot of what we've seen on the platform this week relates to personal financial planning. And I think specifically the lens coming from a woman's point of view, given that we are deep into Women's Month now. And the one article that I really enjoyed was from Alex Forbes around the 10 myths that people tell themselves when it comes to financial planning. None of these are a surprise to any of us in the industry or to us as trustees on our retirement funds. But I think the conversation needs to go deeper. And so we start hearing, or I'm personally sick and tired of hearing, I don't need a financial planner, I'm doing it myself, or I'm getting advice from an AI platform, very dangerous, or I'm getting advice from a finfluencer. This is one of the 10 in the list, but there are others. And I think the conversation around deliberate and personal, meaning personal to your unique circumstances, the financial planning that hits both of those are certainly, or is a strategy and an imperative that us in the community do need to be reiterating and reinforcing with our customers, our clients, and our fund members. And I know that we are, and I'm thinking of one of our Evolutionary Award entrants, and how they believe and describe financial planning as a superpower. So financial planning also looks into things like credit and the responsible use of credit. And Sanlam has posted a great article or provided us with some great content on how to use credit. Now, if you're from my generation, you'll kind of get a bit scared when we talk about debt, but debt is something that we can and should be using to meet some of our requirements as, I'm going to say it, as humans. For example, paying for our homes or buying those big ticket assets that perhaps we can't save enough money over a quick enough period of time to be able to pay for that cash. And so debt and credit is something that we should be using, but as I say, we should be using responsibly. And there was a great article from Sanlam on that. And it links into a previous EBNet Stream interview that I had done, and the link is in the article, again with one of the other ladies from the Sanlam Credit team, really talking to the responsible usage of credit. And feel free to share that content with members of your fund who may be asking you questions.
EBNet is proud to bring you top quality content from experts across the financial services industry in South Africa and internationally, all for free. Your support helps us in doing this. All we ask is that you subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button below, share this video with others you think will benefit from it, and give us a thumbs up if you are enjoying the content. That way, you help us help you. Thank you from the team at EBNet. For more great content, please visit www.ebnet.co.za.
I think the other aspect of financial planning that some of us don't think about is what happens if I get divorced, and the impact of that on my retirement fund benefit. And now I've got 2 pots. Some of us have 3 pots, and divorce orders are particularly complicated. So thank you to Lisa De La Harpe, who is one of the industry's leading minds on all things legal. Thank you to Lisa, who unpacks a recent case and a recent ruling around what makes divorce orders enforceable. And I know it's something that fund administrators grapple with and retirement funds themselves grapple with. But what makes a divorce order enforceable against the non-member or against the member spouses, that's right, value in the fund, and the nitty-gritties or the granular detail that a divorce order needs to meet in order to be enforceable by a fund. You know, you can't just arrive with a kind of a piece of paper that is stamped by someone, with that doesn't meet the requirements. That won't cut it for your funds. And so Lisa reminds us of the most important criteria that these court settlement agreements need to refer to. As I talk about EBNet Stream, it reminded me of a great conversation that I had with the Chief Investment Officer of Prescient Investment Managers. Bastian unpacked the implications of tariffs and what this will mean for retirement fund investors. And I do encourage you to go listen to that, because the conversation seems to have gone quiet on tariffs, but certainly their impact will be felt. And I know that lots of us are still getting questions from members, from clients. Should I be taking my money into the US? Should I be investing offshore? Should I be investing in passive funds? Where should I be investing really? And a lot of them do have tariffs in their mind when they ask that question. Should I be investing in passives or passive portfolios? Everybody knows those are my preferred investments. If I'm allowed to share that with you, we'll just keep that between us. I'm a big passive investing fan, and we can discuss that in another video at a later stage. But I do subscribe to the view that boring is better, which was one of the titles of one of the articles of one of our contributors this week. And so you can go and check that out. It was from Satrix. You can go and check that out and just remind yourselves of the benefits of passive investing versus active investing. Although some people believe that conversation is dead. Certainly the conversation around the value add might be, but there are places, or there is a place for both, for our members and for our clients. I'm going to wrap up because, I can talk forever. I'm going to wrap up by saying that I'm looking forward to the IRFA conference next week. So I will be seeing some of you and reconnecting with some of you on Monday and Tuesday in Cape Town. I'm looking forward not only to the personal and the relationship stuff that we're gonna get up to, but also the content of the agenda. There are some great topics which I will kind of unpack from the sessions themselves through X or Twitter. So please go and follow me there. If you're not able to make the conference, I share some of the more exciting and the more technical content that does get unpacked at these conferences, and I'm looking forward to doing that for you guys next week. For those of you who I am able to see, Looking forward to those discussions that we always have and the reconnections and the catch-ups. But next week at IRFA, make an effort, if you can't be there, to at least follow me on X, or catch my daily highlights that I publish in the evenings across our platforms for you. And as I say, I'm looking forward to that. So until next week, I'll see you then.